The tears weren't just for betrayal. They were for the end of a fairy tale the WWE Universe believed would last forever. Late last night, in a moment that stunned the entire wrestling world, court documents leaked to TMZ confirmed the unimaginable. Becky Lynch has officially filed for divorce from Seth Rollins. The reason? A secret affair that's been hidden for months, an affair with none other than Liv Morgan. This isn't a storyline. This isn't kayfabe. This is real. The woman once known as the Man has walked out of the ring and out of her marriage. For years, fans watched Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins grow from colleagues to soulmates, two of WWE's brightest stars, side by side in both life and battle. From the highs of WrestleMania to the joy of parenthood, they seemed invincible. But what if all that was just a carefully crafted illusion? What if, while Becky held down the main event and raised their daughter, Seth Rollins was whispering secrets into another woman's ear backstage? This exposé will pull back the velvet curtain and expose the gut-wrenching truth behind the collapse of wrestling's most powerful couple. We have details from inside sources, private messages that never should have seen daylight, and footage that, until now, was buried deep inside the WWE production vault. This isn't just a scandal. It's a betrayal on the grandest stage. Let's begin at the very moment Becky Lynch found out. It was 2 weeks ago, just after Monday Night Raw went off the air. A segment was being filmed for social media, something light, unscripted. Becky was in catering, scrolling through her phone, sipping coffee. A young production assistant handed her a tablet, casually saying, "You need to see this." On that screen was a security camera clip. It wasn't a kiss. It wasn't even physical. But it was worse. It was Seth Rollins and Liv Morgan in a darkened corridor, far from the locker rooms. The footage had no sound, but their body language screamed familiarity, comfort, even desire. He reached out, brushing a strand of hair from her face. She leaned in. His wedding ring, missing. Becky froze. Not in fear, but in that icy, bone-deep clarity that only comes when your world splits in two. She didn't scream. She didn't call him. She didn't even finish her coffee. She walked straight to the WWE legal office. That night, she took their daughter and checked into a private hotel under an alias. By the next morning, she had already filed for divorce. So how did we get here? How did Seth Rollins, husband, father, and world champion, throw it all away? Insiders tell us it started in January, during the Royal Rumble buildup. Liv Morgan was rehabbing a shoulder injury, and Rollins had been training late at the Performance Center. What began as shared workouts slowly evolved into something more intimate. Late-night texts, private car rides to hotels, strategy meetings that kept them behind closed doors long after other superstars had gone home. Becky had her suspicions, but every time she confronted Seth, he waved it off as just helping a colleague. The gaslighting, according to one source close to the situation, was relentless. But there was one moment, the smoking gun, that even Seth couldn't explain away. During a live event in Chicago, Liv Morgan was spotted entering Rollins' private locker room. Not once, not twice, but 3 nights in a row. The door locked behind her every time. Security staff, sworn to silence, began whispering. One janitor even claimed to hear giggling echoing through the concrete walls. When Becky confronted Liv backstage the following week, Liv allegedly laughed in her face. She said, "You're the past. I'm what's next," the witness recalled, visibly shaken. And from that moment on, Becky stopped trying to save the marriage. Instead, she began preparing for war. Legally, emotionally, publicly. The court filing is brutal in its clarity. Citing irreconcilable differences stemming from emotional infidelity, Becky Lynch has requested full custody of their daughter, citing Seth's lack of transparency and moral character. She is also demanding that Rollins vacate their shared mansion in Davenport, Iowa, within 14 days. But what about Liv? Liv Morgan, who's been conspicuously silent on social media since the news broke, is now at the center of a media firestorm. Her camp has issued no statement. WWE, so far, is refusing to comment, though a source close to management confirmed that several key figures are furious that this scandal has leaked. And furious doesn't even begin to describe the reaction from the locker room. One female superstar told WrestlingNewsCC off the record, Liv crossed a line. There's an unspoken code backstage. You don't go near a married man, especially not one with a child. She's done. Another talent added, we always knew Seth was charming. But nobody thought he was a cheater. But maybe, we should have. Rollins, despite his accolades and babyface persona, has a history of controversy. Who can forget the 2015 scandal when private photos were leaked online? Or the rumored affair with another talent during his NXT days? While none of these were ever proven to overlap with his relationship with Becky, the pattern is hard to ignore. Becky, by contrast, has remained a pillar of loyalty and professionalism throughout her career. Even during her pregnancy hiatus, she trained daily, prepped her return, and still managed to be a full-time mom while helping with Seth's own PR. And now, she's the one picking up the pieces. Sources close to Becky say she's not interested in revenge. Not yet. But she is considering stepping away from WWE television in the coming weeks to focus on healing and protecting her daughter from the media circus. And here's where things get even darker. Because leaked internal memos suggest that WWE Creative had plans to pair Seth Rollins and Liv Morgan in a future storyline. A potential, unholy alliance, stable meant to rival the Judgment Day, one based on chaos, unpredictability, and seduction. But now that fantasy may become a public relations nightmare. Sponsors are already calling. Fan pages dedicated to Becky Lynch are erupting in protest. And Liv Morgan's Instagram has been flooded with over 50,000 comments in less than 12 hours, many of them calling for her removal from the company entirely. And what about Seth? So far, no statement. No tweet. No denial. Just silence. He was scheduled for a live appearance at WWE SmackDown this Friday. But as of this morning, his name has been quietly pulled from the official roster. Was it his decision, or WWE's? That's the question circling every headline right now. And it's not going away anytime soon. Because this isn't just a breakup. This is the unraveling of a dynasty. A power couple. A brand. A story millions of fans believed in. And now, the only question that remains is, how far will this fall go? Has Seth Rollins destroyed the legacy he built? Has Liv Morgan crossed a line she can't come back from? And will Becky Lynch, stronger than ever, rise from this betrayal like only the man can? This story isn't over. It's just beginning. Becky Lynch didn't just walk away from a marriage. She walked away from a chapter of her life that had defined her very identity. And she did it not with a whimper, but with a silence so deafening, the entire wrestling world paused. For those who've been watching closely, this wasn't just about personal betrayal. It was about professional integrity. About power. About optics. Because while Seth Rollins continued to play the smiling face of WWE, cutting promos, raising his championship, soaking in the crowd's chants, he was allegedly living a double life backstage. One where every cheer from the crowd masked a growing silence in his home. One where Liv Morgan's smirks during interviews now seem sinister in retrospect. In a private interview with someone close to the situation, an anonymous WWE writer confided something chilling. There were moments in writers' meetings where Liv would pitch herself into segments with Seth. Harmless at first. Then she'd joke, let's blur the lines of reality. At the time, it just seemed like creative ambition. Now, it feels like foreshadowing. And those blurred lines are now slicing through real lives. Let's talk about the emotional fallout. Friends of Becky say she is utterly devastated, but sharpened by the fire. She hasn't spoken publicly yet, but her close circle has begun sending out signals that she intends to return to WWE stronger, louder, and more unfiltered than ever before. One veteran superstar confided, "You haven't seen Becky like this. Not when Ronda took her spotlight. Not when she was out on maternity. This Becky, she's planning something. Already, there's buzz that Lynch may turn this real-life tragedy into an on-screen warpath, a run of vengeance that blurs the line between fiction and reality in a way that only she, with her unrivaled mic skills and raw emotion, could pull off. But let's be clear, no script could match the damage already done. Because this was never meant to be part of a storyline. This was supposed to be the safe space. The one part of Becky Lynch's world not for sale to the WWE cameras. And now, it's been cracked wide open. Fans are choosing sides. And the numbers don't lie. On social media, the hashtag #IStandWithBecky trended globally within hours of the leak. WWE's official Instagram page saw thousands of comments demanding accountability, demanding clarity, demanding blood. Some fans are calling for Seth to be stripped of his championship. Others want Liv Morgan suspended. A vocal majority are even suggesting Becky take full creative control over her own storyline return, something almost unprecedented in modern WWE. And yet, WWE corporate remains silent. No press release. No internal memo made public. No denial. Why? Because they know this isn't just a marital split. This is a nuclear PR crisis, and it could shape the future of the company's entire image when it comes to how it handles backstage behavior and personal boundaries. There's even talk, according to one executive who spoke under the condition of anonymity, that Vince McMahon, though largely removed from day-to-day operations, has been informed directly. And his reported response: make it disappear, or make it money. Cold, brutal, classic Vince. And so, the company faces a crossroads. Do they erase the scandal and try to salvage Rollins' public image with time off and quiet negotiations? Or do they lean into the chaos, embrace the real pain, the real heartbreak, and give Becky Lynch the microphone she deserves?